All right, Nurse B. First and foremost, I really want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join me for my first talk space, the Working Women talk space. So you're the first guest. So this is a big thing. So you got to represent. Yes, Miss Versace. Sure, I see you, sister. So, Nurse B, I just want to really quickly introduce you really quick because you are very accomplished. And I'm not saying that because you are in my no, because you know how I'm always under your post, like, yes, Nurse B, like you are really accomplished and you are very humble. So I think that is a beautiful thing. But Brittany and I know each other from college. We went to Benedict College and the Benedict College in Columbia, South Carolina, where she received her BS in biology. And then she went on to study at Johns Hopkins. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a big one, sister. We're going to get into all of that, where you received your BS in, and then she went back to Morgan State University and received her MPH, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So very accomplished and at such a young age. So I thought, it was just perfect to have you on here. So let's start here. When did you decide that you wanted to become a nurse? Like, was this like a childhood dream or?
So I always find myself having this conversation. So no, it wasn't a childhood dream at all. Growing up, I didn't know any nursing. I'm from Baltimore, and from the east side of Baltimore. And in my family, it wasn't any nursing, any healthcare, people in my community or in my family. So it wasn't nothing that I imagined me doing, even in like high school, even in college. I kind of always imagined myself doing. Okay, we're good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I kind of always see myself in the lab doing research, specifically like HIV, infectious disease. But then I found myself like going to get my master's locally in Maryland. And I was in class and I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel that it was something that God wanted me to do. And that wasn't really my purpose. So I did a lot of soul searching. I mean, it was where like I was really in tears, like trying to figure out my life and where I wanted to do. And I really realized that I honestly feel that the prayer that I prayed for God to send my purpose, and if the journey that he wants me on to really be fulfilling, that he will lead me where he needs to lead me. And I think that I'm telling you, the next day I went to talk to my mother and I said, I'm going to do nursing. I don't know where it came from.
Wow.
I don't know how it happened, but that's how it happened. And yeah, like I knew that I wanted to my whole basis is basically to come back into my community and really make an impact and really help with health disparities, health literacy, really establish community engagement and really establish community trust within the healthcare system, within my population. So that was kind of like my whole basis of going into nursing as well. So that's kind of like my journey into nursing. It really was a very traditional role or traditional way into nursing. You know what I mean? So it was just kind of like, I don't know, God was really steering me this way. And I think purpose to really gear me to nursing,
Yeah. And it's kind of funny how and where we land, because I feel like a lot of times when we're on the journey and we're not getting like the results that we feel like we just become so frustrated. Like, oh, God, why is this not happening to me for me? Yeah. And then we're here. So that is really interesting. What was it like being a STEM student at Benedict? Because was it a lot of y'all?
Yeah.
A lot of y'all? Okay. I'm sorry. That is so ignorant.
Shout out to Priscilla, though. That's my girl.
Priscilla, she's so sweet. Sweet Priscilla.
Yeah, shout out to my girl Priscilla and all the rest of the STEM, because we really like stuck together. And I think that when you go to HBCU, you're definitely a family. You're definitely incorporated in a unity type of family environment. Even your professors, you feel like you have like an open conversation with them and it's not even judgmental. You know what I mean? Because they know where you're coming from. Y'all have the same kind of background.
Right.
So definitely a wonderful experience. And I definitely grew within my time at Benedict and as a STEM student, and just grew personally as a woman and personally within just how to navigate life and how to navigate life after Benedict. And I think that the professor was really real with us about after college.
Yeah. Ooh. Unpack that a little bit, because I feel like that is something that we don't talk about enough.
No, we don't talk about that because of the fact that I think that personally, I feel that after college is totally different than in college, right? Especially, I feel as though, especially HBCU, because you're so used to that close knit, you're so used to that family environment. But after that, it's like you kind of going to the wolves. You got to figure out people and how people navigate. And we're gonna not go into all detail about that. But I think that professors really, I think that my professors really taught us how to navigate after college and what to expect after college, and that this is not, it's not going to always be a family unity type of, you know, environment that you're going to receive. You're not always going to be, you're going to have to work harder. You're going to have to be, you know, questioned and things like that. So I think that sometimes we get caught up in the family unity and we kind of forget that it's not always like that in the real world.
It's a real world out there.
The real world. Yeah.
You know, and they already, especially when you're Black and you're a woman.
Yeah.
You know, like they're always looking for a reason to discredit you.
Yes.
Yeah. And like you said, we're gonna get into that. But continue.
So I just think that but I enjoyed my experience at Benedict. I really did.
Look, it was the best 5 years of my life. Okay. The best 5 years of my life. Shout out to Benedict College. When we were there, it was just a different time. It was a different time. It was people from all over, you know.
Yeah, different time.
South. There were people who had never met anyone from Tennessee before. They were so taken aback. People would be like, so like, did you raise like cows? And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
That probably was me asking you that, honestly.
Probably, child. There's a lot of foolishness, but that, you said what?
Probably was me talking about something. Did you see Elvis Presley granddaughter or something? I don't know.
I'm just like, okay, all right. Y'all need to get out of y'all neighborhood. Shout out to Benedict College.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about your transition. So after Benedict College, because Benedict is a HBCU, and then you went on to go to a PWI. And I've had conversations with a lot of people who took that same educational route, and they talked about the challenges. So what were your challenges? Because I mean, you know, you also went and you studied science. So I mean, for me, I feel like that's a whole nother world.
It is. And you know, funny, just kind of taking back my goal. I knew that I was going to HBCU when I was like 11, when I was watching The Different World, right?
Yes.
I knew I was going.
Representation. That's why representation is important.
When I was in my grandmother's basement watching it, I was like, oh, that's where I'm going. I'm going to Hillman. I didn't even know Hillman didn't even exist. I'm going to Hillman. I'm going. So I knew that for some reason, I knew that my whole goal was to go to HBCU and then go to a predominantly white to represent HBCUs. You know, because I think that HBCUs get such a bad rap about not us being prepared. Exactly. So, but the transition is definitely a transition because, like I said, you're so used to that close knit, you're so used to that family oriented, and when you're transitioning to a place like Johns Hopkins, it's totally different because you're coming in with this, they're the best, you're the best, type A students, and you're not really used to that. You know what I mean? Like they set the standard. So it's just a big transition because you feel like it's like you don't have that comfort net. You don't have the professors that's really looking out for you because you have to kind of seek out those professors now. You have to kind of like, oh, well, let me find a professor that, you know, and it's really seeking out those professors that they can maybe encourage you or be a mentor to you. But it is a transition because you don't have that family oriented vibe. You know what I mean? And it's a transition by being, I don't know, it's just kind of a different atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's a different You have to be in a different mindset sometimes, you know.
So what does that mindset look like?
The mindset is that you have to be the best, you know.
Yeah.
To be honest, you have to be the best, and that you have to be in a different caliber. You have to kind of raise it up a little bit. You know what I mean? And sometimes you know, you can kind of, an undergrad, even in undergrad, you can kind of get by, maybe not go to class, and you know what I mean, and do different things.
Oh, it's the queen of that, Jeff.
Kind of transition to this type of caliber of educational or this type of something like, you know, a place like Johns Hopkins. It's a ongoing. It was a stressful time for me.
Yeah.
You know, it was a stressful time, but you got to make it through.
Yeah, and you did. Period. Yeah. So to transition, still in the same arena, we're speaking a lot about what it's like to be Black, right? In that setting. But what about, and we're going to talk about this in the professional setting as well, because it is a transition. It's different. You know, now you're working with doctors. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, and we know what type of space that could be, especially as a Black person. But as a woman, do you feel like you experienced any challenges as far as like, you know, your grad program and interacting with professors? I'm back, go ahead.
I think as a Black woman, it's very true that you do have to work 10 times harder. I think that it's very true that people are going to question your ability and your knowledge and why you got accepted to this college or why you got accepted to this university. They're going to think, oh, because they had to make their diversity up. You know what I mean? So it's always, sometimes it's always, you always kind of feel like you have to prove yourself, but it's about confidence that you have in yourself in order to know that no matter what, you don't look for validation from external people. You know what I mean? You're already validated within yourself and God. So it doesn't matter, you know, if they question, if they are, you know, asking you questions or trying to, you know, quiz you and things like that, because I've been through that as well. But it's about the fact that you know your stuff. If you know it, then you know it. You don't have you don't have to ask for validation. You don't have to say, it's just about your confidence within yourself to know that, you know, you belong here. You worked hard to be here. So take you from your where you need to be, you know what I mean, and even higher. So I think that like just mentoring and really understanding that, and that's what I tell to young people if they ask me, you know, like it's about really being confident in what you know, and knowing what you know and being okay with people questioning you, but also knowing how to bounce back and also know how to push back in the most professional way.
And what does that look like?
Pushing back,
pushing back, bouncing back, dusting yourself off. Because I'm gonna be honest, especially coming in after college and the world knocking me flat on my ass, because I felt like all of the doors were supposed to open to me after I got my bachelor's degree. You could not tell me that I would have been working at a call center. at a call center.
No, you know the thing is, you know where I was working at?
Where?
Gas station. So the most
and we're not coming for nobody that's working at the gas station or call center.
I'm not coming for nobody at the gas station.
Yes.
But I'm a woman with a degree and I'm working at the gas station trying to figure out my life.
Somebody had asked, I would never forget, someone looked at me and was like, what are you doing here? And it was at that point, I kept a straight face. I got off and I went right to my car and I cried.
Really?
Because, and I was probably using my mom's car, but I was a hot mess. And, you know, and we kind of breezed over this. And I just want to talk about this for a moment. That space is pivotal because it can make or break you.
It can.
You know, so many people give up on their dreams or visions of where they saw themselves going and the person that they were going to be in their professional realm because it's not happening quick.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, like I applied to a job. That job is gonna call me back because I'm qualified.
Right.
Literally, this was my mind frame. Go
Right.
ahead.
How do you know? But it's always, I think, in maturity and growing up and thinking that was part of God's journey. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Even working at station was part of God's journey. Amen. Me crying, not knowing what I'm doing in my life at the gas station while I'm ringing up some potato chips was God's journey.
It's true. It's so true.
You know what I mean? Because it's all about God's timing. And I can be real spiritual, but it is. It's all about
Child, we're gonna get into spirituality. It is because I don't know if this is about me, but this is real quick. It's on my heart to say. So when I finished Benedict, came back to Knoxville, because that's where my mom, everybody was. And I was applying, nothing came through. Applying. And that's maybe the summer. Let's see, I graduated in May. I spent the Christmas there. So maybe like the following summer, my mom was like, okay, I'm moving back to Illinois. I was like, okay, I'm coming with you. You remember that? I'm coming with you. But that entire time I'm applying to jobs, the qualifications I met, but I was not getting called back.
Yeah.
And I do think there are challenges when it comes to young Black professionals connecting with opportunities and that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. Especially when you don't have like family members in places that could plug you. Like, that wasn't my story. My grandmother was a very accomplished woman, but a lot of her accomplishments and ties were in Chicago. She was retired when she moved back to Knoxville. So, I didn't have nobody. I'm just like, kind of going off the whim. But I was in Illinois and things just start opening up for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's God. All of the opportunities, applications I submitted, the nights I was stressed out, it wasn't in vain. And that message is for people coming out of college. Everyone experienced that struggle, that struggle moment.
Yeah.
Everyone get lucky.
And people who say they didn't is a lie.
Yeah.
Because that struggle, and everyone that experiences that kind of, oh, did I do the right decision? Did I make the right decision? In the right major? You know what I mean? What am I doing wrong? What am I, you know what I mean? So everyone goes through that kind of thought process. You know what I mean? But it's all about the timing, and it's all about also about networking. That's very important. So you have to know the importance of networking, and I'm a shy person. You know what I mean? Like I'm very back, I'm very quiet. I'm not like loud person. But I had to come out my comfort zone, you know what I mean, to really network and meet people who's going to put me in a position where I need to be in. You know what I mean? All about showing yourself and being confident in who you are, and really to be centering yourself to understand the importance of networking. It's very important.
Absolutely. And that is, I think, why I struggled so hard. Because I was not into networking. I'm like, look, I'm applying and y'all need to see me working. So, so definitely networking is an important piece in internships.
Yeah, that's very important.
Completing internships while you're, in undergrad during the summers, taking the internship experience serious, okay? Serious, because all experience is good experience.
Yeah, that's very true.
If you got a good mouthpiece, you can make the gas station look like an executive.
Okay. You can make like nothing for 5 years.
That part. But what were you about? Were you say something?
No, I was about to say, like my motto this year, honestly, is leaving no opportunities on the table. You know what I mean? So that's really my motto this year, and that's what I've been doing. You can't leave no opportunities on the table. Every opportunity is an opportunity for you to grow, to learn, to build your resume up.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you have to understand, you leave no opportunities on the table. You have to, it is about really critically thinking, is this opportunity going to benefit me? And if you feel like it is, you leave no opportunities on the table. You know what I mean? Because that is an opportunity for you to continue to grow, to continue to learn within your career, within your field. And even if you want to take a different field, you know what I mean? So it's just about, just connecting, leaving opportunities, seeking opportunities, and seeking people that you need to seek.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really, 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 really good advice. And I'm happy we kind of came back to this. Because I feel like people get so down on themselves. I just remember being so depressed.
Oh, I remember that too.
Yeah,
I
like
a failure. That's how I remember feeling like I'm working at the gas station and I'm taking classes to pre-rec classes. Some class I didn't take at Benedict for nursing, but I just felt down on myself. I felt like, I thought I would be doing much more than this. And even the fact that I stopped doing my master's so I could do my prereqs, I just felt very conflicted within me.
Absolutely.
Oh, just very conflicted and back and forth. But it's all about timing. It's all about God's timing. It's all a part of your journey. You know what I mean? It really.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. So we talked a little bit about your motto for the year. And I would assume that, you coming up with that motto has a lot to do with goals that you have set for yourself.
Right.
So how do you hold yourself accountable when it comes to setting a goal and sticking to it? Because I feel like, we live in a generation where people, not even a generation, more so of a society, because I feel like, generation kind of zones in on like an age. And I don't think it's an age. I think it's literally like the time, like society, the times we're living in. I just feel like everyone's fixated on like saying versus doing. And social media has us seeing people talking about vision boards, and then, they post their vision board on Monday, and then Thursday they've achieved something. Just like, oh my gosh, dang, it's happening so fast for them. But no one's talking about the actual steps that people are taking to accomplish these things. Sometimes it's not overnight. And that's just the reality. So what do you do to hold yourself accountable? Or better yet, what is your goal setting? So like you write these goals down, and then what?
I don't write no goals down.
Oh, okay.
I don't goals down. I don't do vision boards. I don't do any of that. It is something within me, honestly. I'm sorry, I keep on getting spiritual, but I pray about my goals.
No, because we're gonna talk about spirituality. We'll just go into that next, because I feel like God is leading us there. But
I don't write them down. I don't do vision boards. I set a goal within my mind and I pray about it. And if it's God's will, I always say, God, if you want me down that journey, you take me path, and you put people in place that helps me through that, to set that goal set. You know what I mean? So for me to keep me accountability is something in me that if I have that goal and if it's in my spirit, I can't, like I have a goal right now, honestly, that I've been kind of like thinking about it for a whole 6 months. And it's in my spirit, and I can't, I made a decision today that I'm going to accomplish this goal before the year ends, and for me, I keep myself accountability. I don't know. I just really, I may not accomplish it this year, but I'm going to accomplish it next. I'm going to accomplish it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not in nobody's timetable with my own. You know what I mean? So I'm going to accomplish it, but it's just, I just have to I'm always going to think, it's always going to be on my, I don't know. It's always going to be in my mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Until I accomplish it. Yeah.
And I also feel like that makes, like, what I'm hearing is that like you're sure of who you are and where you're going.
Yeah.
So that's just that. Okay, heard you, sis. Hey, period. Okay, so because I feel like spirituality, we keep like recircling.
Yeah.
We're circling back to it. So explain the role spirituality has played in your academic and professional and even personal life.
A big role. It's so funny. I think that I always grew up in church and things like that, but I think I really got close, or really my own relationship with God while I was at Benedict. And I think, I don't know, I just really got a more in-depth relationship and knowing the type of woman that I am. And now it's really played a part, and I make no decision without praying about it first. So if it's at relationships, career, or personal, or anything, no decision is made without praying about it. And I always feel like, he put people in place. When I pray about it, I feel so much better, so much lighter, much like just at ease, at peace. You know what I mean? Because even from conflict about a decision, I pray about it, and God would never lead you where he don't want you to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he would never lead you beyond that you are able to accomplish those things that you wanted to accomplish. You know what I mean? He will put tools in place that you wouldn't even think of. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even know, like, when I was applying for nursing school, it was where I had to take a test, and I feel like I didn't do too well. And it was for like University of Maryland, another school, and Johns Hopkins, they didn't, they just went off of grades, and you had to have, you know what I mean, the highest grades and things like that. So I didn't even know how I was going to pay for nursing school. You know what I mean? I had no idea. It was expensive as not because it was expensive. Okay. So I started to, like, the lady at the school, she told me about, oh, you should like apply for like the delegates and senators and things like that. I had no idea about it.
Like, now, what is that?
Huh?
What is that?
So they have it, I don't know if they have it in every state, but you can, like, delegates and like senators, they have certain money to give out scholarships.
Wow.
So yeah, for like undergrad, or I think for grad school as well. So you have to.
So is this, I guess I would imagine it's specific to DC, Maryland.
It may not be though. It may be, I don't know, but in Maryland they do.
And is it, like, is there like a website you will go to, or is the link on
there? Like, you can call their office and ask them if they have like scholarships, but they also have it on like the Maryland, I think, website, where you can go into their specific website and see if they have applications open.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I've never heard of that.
I didn't know about that either.
So you got lucky. Or not lucky, you qualified, and they.
Yeah, I just started like writing letters to them and explaining to them, like, I'm gonna try to be a nurse, and this is what I want to do, and things like that. And it's so funny. Like, I was at the gas station working, and the delegate came down and presented me with a scholarship.
Are you serious?
Yes, like, you see how God
awesome.
Put. Yeah, like,
Brittany.
Yeah, like, God put people in place.
That is awesome. So wait, how did you react? Was it like a surprise, or?
I didn't know who he was. I was like, who's this?
Do you remember the delegate's name?
Yes.
Okay, we want to shout him out, or?
We shout out to, I just say Bill.
Shout out Bill. That is awesome. So he took care of your entire.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Because John Hopkins, that's expensive. That's an expensive.
It's really expensive.
Oh wow, that is a blessing.
Yeah, so like, he came in, he said, "This is Brittany Kelly." And I was like, "Yes." And then he's like, "Oh, here you go." And sent me and like, like, that's God. You know what I mean? Because I was praying like, God, how am I going to pay for this? Like, this is my purpose. I feel like this is my purpose that you gave to me. Yeah. So, but just have faith in God will provide when you least expect it. When you feel like and I didn't even, and it was another incident that happened where, like, I was at my job, my money got stolen from my uniforms, and I didn't have enough money, but that was a whole different topic. But then I went to get my uniforms and things like that, and she gave me like a big discount. You know what I mean? Wow. Like, God just.
So that's alignment. Like, I feel like people be confusing the definition of these terms. Like, that's alignment. Like, God literally put things in order so that you can become who you are today.
Exactly.
That is a blessing. Wow.
Yeah.
Dang. Shout out to Bill. No, for real, I'm still on Bill. Surprised you with the check. Like, I never heard that. I never knew that. You said what?
Not you still on Bill.
No, because that is like we see stuff like that on YouTube and on TikTok. Okay, yeah, shout out to Bill. That is awesome. Seriously. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? I know that's like a loaded question.
Professionally,
however you want to describe, whatever vision you have for yourself. I was thinking professionally, but whatever you know.
Yeah. So professionally, like, I want to get my doctorate.
Okay.
Yeah. So I see myself, honestly, hopefully working more in depth in the public health sector with my doctorate, and really diving into making like sustainable programs within the urban community. If that's dealing with either substance abuse or health literacy or health disparities, but making sustainable program that is sustainable within the urban community that can last for years, and not just programs that pop up and then leave the next year. You know what I mean? Because of funding and that or staffing. So I kind of want to make sure that my whole sector in the public health is to really be engaging in health literacy and health disparities within the African American community.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So your journey is packed with, I mean, I just think it's just so dope what you're doing, Brittany, because I feel like, honestly, because I feel like a lot of times, like, we view some accomplishments as unattainable. You know, so sometimes we need like the prototype. We need like, okay, this person is doing it, so they did it. They were here, so I did it.
So true.
Yeah. So like, do you think it's imperative to have a professional mentor? Do you have a professional mentor?
I do have a professional mentor. I have multiple professional mentors. I guess with my time at Hopkins and really trying to scope them out. You know what I mean? But I do think it's imperative because they are, I don't want to say guiding you, but they are a guidance that you can look to for professional resources. And if you hit road bumps or setbacks, there's someone who's been in that situation probably, and that can give you critical and non-judgmental feedback, you know, on how to handle different situations. And also how to guide your career, you know, because sometimes we don't know it all. You know what I mean? We don't know, and we in a new career, know how to maybe sometimes navigate different things or navigate situations that may come up. So I think that it's very imperative that you have a mentor that is sufficient and experienced, and it's kind of linked or adjacent to what you are trying to accomplish as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how do you go about establishing those relationships? You just be like, okay, hey, like, she's accomplished. Can you be my mentor? Or he's accomplished. Can you be my mentor? How do you do that?
I think it's about just open communication and kind of talking to them about what is your goals and dreams and aspirations, or you think that your purpose is. And being open and honest and saying, hey, you know, I'm looking for someone that can kind of maybe encourage me, or, you know, enrich me with more knowledge, you know what I mean, that can kind of further my career. And I would be open, you know, really be open and really honored if you would be, you know, someone that I can kind of connect with and, you know, bounce ideas off of, or really be someone I can kind of, you know, look to for some type of guidance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's good advice. Because I think that's something that I struggle with early on. I'm like, okay, so I gotta like beg this person to be my mentor. Like, how does it work? So that's a good open, you know.
Yeah. I think it's a good
statement like, hey, you know, like, you're awesome.
Yeah, but I'm very you know, if someone wants me to be their mentor, I don't mind, but I'm very serious about mentorship, you know, and I think that when you do approach someone, be serious within yourself and know that don't waste someone's time, you know, because I'm serious about mentorship. So don't come to someone if you're not truly ready.
That's a good,
you know.
It's a good point. Good point. Because it is something, I mean, it's a two-way street.
Yeah, it is a two-way street, very much so.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you do to decompress? Oh, well, you know what? Before I ask that, I do want to tap on this a little bit. You kind of spoke to this already, but what do you think the biggest challenges are for women in the medical field?
I think the biggest challenge is really like trying to prove yourself that you belong, that you are knowledgeable about your profession, that you're knowledgeable about what you are pursuing, and really, I mean, to be honest, showing that you can be looked upon as an expert in your profession. So I think that it's just about really, I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for Black women in the medical field.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, what is your why? But I think you kind of spoke to it because you want to create programs for people who look like you to access resources that will, essentially better their life, regardless of what challenges they face, because you kind of already answered that.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about COVID just a little bit.
Oh.
But before, I know it's such a hot topic because I don't know. We'll get into that.
I just had a conversation with someone last night, actually.
Okay, well, you know what? Let's get into COVID first, and then we'll end with the decompress, because I feel like that's a good way to close.
That is a good way.
So, COVID is just crazy right now because now there's different variants. And when I told people I was doing this talk space with you, they was like, oh my God, okay, ask her this, ask her that, ask her this, ask her that, because we kind of feel like when it comes to this vaccine, I think Black people, and just minorities in particular, we feel very skeptical of whether or not we should trust it, what it even looks like in terms of the long-term effects it's going to have on our ability, to, have kids, health, carry a baby full term, or being able to even get pregnant. Like, there's so many questions surrounding the impact of the vaccine and how it's going to affect us. So do you have any data or information you can give in terms of, how the vaccine impacts negatively or positively fertility?
The only data that we have, honestly, is how it affects positively right now. You know what I mean? Because
it's so new.
It's so new. So we don't have a lot of data. Like, most clinical trials or most clinical, research is like this. It goes for 20 years. You know what I mean? A long time. So this was such an emergency kind of thing that happened, and we wasn't really prepared. So I think that, we have to kind of look at the positive aspects of the vaccine. You know what I mean? Right now, we don't really know a lot about the negative aspects of it, if there is.
Yeah. Okay. And that's honest. And I feel like that is just the truth. I mean, the vaccine, hasn't even been a year.
No.
I don't think it's been a year. So as far as,
it's only been like 8 months.
Yeah. So it hasn't even been a full year. So I would imagine that, they have like small studies happening where, they're following women who are trying to get pregnant, who have had the vaccine, and, see kind of track. I'm sorry, I kind of spoke over you. What'd you say, Brittany?
It's small studies going on over the world.
Yeah. So that makes sense. So, the Delta variant, Lambda variant, and then, it's COVID-19. So it's like Delta versus Lambda and COVID versus everybody. That's how it's starting to feel. So no, seriously, that's how it's feeling, because I'm like, I turned on, I had to stop watching because it was driving me seriously. And although, our previous president, he was a hot mess. Sometimes, he could, provide us comedically. When we never thought we didn't think we needed it, then he'll just pop up and say some crazy stuff. But what is the difference between the variants?
So
do we even know?
So the difference is the Delta is more contagious, right? I think it's like maybe like 10 times more contagious, 6 times more contagious, something like that. And the fact that knowing that if someone is unvaccinated, they have a longer time of spreading that Delta variant to other people, right? But if people that is vaccinated, they have a shorter lifetime of spreading that. So, and also the Delta is more infectious compared to the COVID-19 as well. So the Delta was derived from India. That's where it came from. Not where, but it was known to derive from India. So, I think that, I don't know, like, it's just, I just get frustrated with, and I know we're not going to stop, but I get frustrated with people who are talking about like, you know, false things about the vaccine and like government spirit. You know, I understand with us population, I understand why some people are, you know, kind of taken back by it and not going to get it and things like that. I understand it. But before you talk about it on social media and spreading news and things like that, at least educate yourself about it, and or at least find someone to educate you about it. You know what I mean? Professional, before you say things. And that I feel like I would love to have kind of like a COVID literacy program where we meet people where they're in the community and kind of have like an overhaul of people who are kind of, you know, kind of second thinking it, you know, and kind of talk about COVID-19, the vaccine and the effects of it and things. I would love to have that, because I think that so many people are getting caught up in what other people are saying about it, who are, you know what I mean, kind of dictating what if they want to get it or not, you know. So I would love to like have that type of, you know, kind of interaction with people, you know, where they are in the community. So I think that of course, like I am pro-vaccine, you know, I'm being honest, but I understand someone, of course, like, you know, within my, you know, culture who can be kind of, you know, have second thoughts about it because of the history. So, you know, but I just think that we have to be cautiously aware of how many people died from this. You know what I mean? It's something that we've never seen since like the Spanish flu in the 1920s. You know what I mean?
My mom was literally just saying that,
Yeah, we have to be cautiously aware that now it's infecting a lot of kids. You know what I mean? So this is not, you know, this isn't Henrietta Lack, you know what I mean? God bless her. And this is not, you know, the Tuskegee, you know what I mean? This is totally different. You know, I think that we just re-educate ourselves. That's all I'm asking. You know.
So I hear you saying that, you know, it would be good to create a COVID literacy program to kind of meet people where they are. And I know that you know a lot of people who are anti-vax. I personally know a lot of people who are anti-vax, and they're going to watch this. So what would you say? You know, if the biggest myth that you would like to, you know, kind of combat and shoot down regarding the COVID vaccine, or it doesn't even necessarily have to be specific to the COVID vaccine, but what is one thing you would teach in that literacy class, so to speak?
The one thing I would teach is that the vaccine is, they never said it was 100%. No vaccine is 100% effective.
Right. Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? No vaccine is 100% effective, but it does decrease your chances of getting in the hospital and dying. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it decreases your chances of spreading it to your loved ones.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're going to be, just don't be totally against it. Know how it can benefit you. You know what I mean? Know how it can benefit your loved ones, and know that, yeah, it still can. I mean, science is always evolving. You're still going to be, you still may get a breakthrough of COVID, but it doesn't mean that it's going to help you not be so ill, and it may cause you not to be hospitalized or be in a ventilator. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think that understanding how vaccines work, that would be my core, you know, education piece if teaching, you know, someone.
Yeah, because and full transparency moment, I was going around saying, you know, when I first got fully vaccinated, I was, you know, not wearing my mask, showing out, and you know, my mom would be like, you know, you're running around in those streets down there in Georgia. I hope you have on your mask.
Georgia.
Here I go. I'm fully vaxxed. Okay. So, and it's just like, and then it was crazy because it took me hearing Quavo from the Migos. And he was like, you know, like, oh, like, you know, like, you won't get it if you vaxxed. And then I was like, well, yes, you would. And then I was like, well, I have an attitude with him, but I was running around just saying the same thing last week. So, you know, it's, you know, I do think that the education piece is important, and it's going to take more conversations. And honestly, I mean, from people who look like us, you know, and that's just the truth, because, whether folks like to acknowledge it or not. I mean, our experience as Black folk in this country hasn't been sweet.
Mm-hmm.
We know about the Tuskegee experience. We know about all of the situations where we were placed, and we thought things were one way and it turned out to be the opposite. So that's why I was like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
So now on to less heavy stuff. What is your why?
What is my why? Why do I do what I do?
Mm-hmm.
I do what I do because I'm representing or advocating for Africans and advocate for themselves.
Perfect.
That is my why. That is why I do what I do. I think that's what my purpose is. Is to advocate for people who can't advocate for themselves.
Love that. Love that. What keeps you going? And I'm sorry if I've already asked you these questions. What keeps you going? I guess your why.
I guess that's my why.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense.
2021 is still health disparities. It's still different things that, that affect us, as Black women, as Black men, mental health, that is not being addressed properly within our community, socially and economically, and also dealing with substance abuse, the opioid epidemic that, we really deal with here in Baltimore. That is one of my passions that I love, kind of really focusing on. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And what do you do to decompress? Because, I know do you work long days? Like, I feel like I associate nursing with like very long days.
Oh, I used to, but not anymore though.
Okay,
but,
boss up. We on another level. I'm on another level. Period. Okay, sorry. Okay.
What was your question again? Say it again.
What do you do to decompress after a long day and to step away? Because you mentioned you work at a diabetes clinic.
Yeah, so I'm in the diabetes program at a hospital.
And that's heavy. Isn't it heavy?
It can be heavy. You're dealing with sometimes you're not just dealing with a patient's diabetes, you're dealing with other elements, you know what I mean? That is, it's other social determinants of health that influences their care with diabetes and their whole independence of how to manage their whole diabetes. That's my goal, is to get them more independent in managing their diabetes at home. You know what I mean? To put the phone to the house. So it gets complicated when you're dealing with other social determinants of health that may be influencing that, So I decompress, honestly. Even working at the hospital, I used to just, as soon as I hit the door, I'm shut off. You know what I mean? I kind of have to, you definitely, as a nurse, you definitely have to do that and not take it home with you, because you'll be thinking about a patient all night, you know what I mean? Or thinking about how could I have done something better? You know what I mean? Or how could I fix that? And for me, I've gotten to like meditation, and then just having fun, like just hanging with friends and just doing things like outside.
I'll be seeing you on the gram. Sis be living out here, okay? You be living, sis. Okay, but continue. No, I'm just saying, you be living, child. You be coming out with the pop out. Okay.
So just be, just living. You know what I mean? Like, you have to live and you have to enjoy life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, this was 53 minutes long.
Wow, this is not
a lot. Yeah, but I know, I mean, our friendship relationship has always been like just like a lot of big jokes. Yeah. But I really am proud of you, Brittany.
Oh, thank you.
Honestly, seriously. And I appreciate you taking time to speak with me and share all of you dropped a lot of gems tonight. And my sister, my baby sister, she just started her LPN program.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So when, I had her in mind when I brought you into this space, and you know, just all of the young men and women who are on this journey wanting to become nurses or just do anything in the medical field. You know, it's not easy, but it's definitely attainable, and you are the proof that it's definitely attainable.
It is.
Definitely attainable. So I thank you.
I'm honored to speak with you, and I'm proud of you, and I'm proud that you are stepping into another purpose that God has for you. And I hope that this goes beyond anything that you ever imagined.
Oh, thank you. Wow, tears. This was great. Okay, girl.
I loved it.
I love this. Bye.
Bye.